Joseph Jackson was always competitive. However, he seemed even more so after Jermaine's wedding, as if his son's new alliance with Barry Gordy had caused Joseph to consider himself a David, determined to slug out the Motown's Goliath. To make more of an impression on the entertainment industry, Joseph formed his own record company, Ivory Tower International Records, and signed a female quartet from Australaba, Ohio called MDLT Willis. The company and the group would not go far, which only served to reaffirm Barry's feelings that Joseph was well meaning but inept. However, one goal Joseph had that seemed to not occur to Barry or to his right hand man at Motown, Abner, was to break his sons out of that teen idol mold and into a more secure niche. He realized that the careers of most teen idols last about 2 years before newer stars come along to replace them. Joseph wanted to change the Jackson Five's public image before it was too late. Joseph and Barry disagreed about the state of the Jackson Five's career. Joseph thought it was in trouble, citing the recent string of poorly selling records. However, Barry felt that the group was still popular and he cited their last record, Dancing Machine, a rhythmic production by Hale Davis. As the onslaught of disco began to homage the pop and R&B scene, the Jackson 5 managed with Dancing Machine to maintain the originality while capitalizing on the new trend. A high-spirited Michael bannered the lyrics above his brother's strong core chants, all to an infectious beat. In the pop music world, the Jackson brothers were clearly holding their own alongside the likes of the Temptations, the Spinners, and the Four Tops, who were no longer idols but peers. The Jackson 5 were many years ahead of their time and onto the electric sound of the 80s. The style of Dancing Machine is similar to a sound that a dozen years later will be known as technopop. As puberty set in, Michael's voice changed, gone as the pubescent shrill popularized on I Want You Back, ABC, and The Love You Save. It was replaced by a clearer, more refined tone as heard on Dancing Machine. Dancing Machine would eventually hit number 2 on the Billboard charts and sell 2,170,327 copies, the most single sales for the group since Never Can Say Goodbye. Therefore, as Barry was concerned, as well as in the Jackson 5's world, most of those sales, though, were in America. In Europe, the song was not as successful. And in Britain, it didn't even make it to the top 50. Future single and album releases in the UK would have such poor sales that they're not even worth mentioning further. Joseph didn't like such spotty sales. It was becoming impossible to predict when Motown will get behind the group and will not be supportive of the act. Joseph wasn't happy about any of it. In the winter of 1974, during a family meeting, Joseph made the announcement, "Boys, we're going to Las Vegas." But Vegas is the thing you do when you don't have hits, Jackie said, when you don't have a choice. The brothers thought hanging out in the hotels with white people would be no fun, Michael recalled later, but I wanted to play Las Vegas. To me, Las Vegas was part of show business tradition. At that meeting, our father told us two things. First, he said he was trying to show the world that we were every bit as good as the Osmonds. Then he told us about Sammy Davis and what we went through so that guys like us could play Vegas. Joseph explained to his sons that in 1945, when Sammy Davis Jr., his father Sammy, and his uncle Will Menston were booked into the El Rancho Vegas Hotel in Las Vegas for $500 a week. Las Vegas was the new show business mecca. However, even though the Davis Act was invited to appear in the El Rancho show, they were not permitted to stay at the hotel because they were black. However, they had to check into a boarding house with the black porters and dishwashers who worked at the hotels. This was not unusual. Even a major star like Billy Eckstein, who also working in Las Vegas at the same time, could not stay at the hotel at which he appeared. The showrooms and casinos were also off limits to black patrons. Blacks could entertain but not gamble or socialize with whites. In years to come, Sammy Davis Jr. will break through these barriers by virtue of his talent and presence. And also a little help from Frank Sinatra, who also used influence to help certain doors for his pal Sammy. Sammy went from being a member of the Will Manson trio to being a solo star, paid over $175,000 a week in Las Vegas by using his celebrity power and refusing to take no for an answer. Mr. Show Business was instrumental in disregarding the town so that blacks could not only appear but also vacation and have fun there. By attending city hotel boarding meetings and working within the political system instead of against it, Davis also made it possible in the late 50s for more blacks to be hired at the stands where he performed. When Simi died in May 1990, the Las Vegas Strip went dark for 10 minutes in his memory. I want more than anything to be a part of that great tradition. Like I said, years later, remember calling his first Las Vegas engagement. He had been a Sammy Davis Jr. admirer since the age of 10. To me, it was important. It was a giant step. When it was finally confirmed that the Jackson 5 would open in Las Vegas in April at the MGM Grand, the newest and most prestigious hotel in the city, the Motown Brass was unimpressed. If you decide to do this thing, you'll be doing it on your own. Edward Abner told Joseph. Motown won't be involved. These kids aren't ready for Las Vegas. Later, Barry telephoned Joseph personally. You're making the biggest mistake of their career, he said. Certainly, Barry understood the value and prestige of a successful engagement in Las Vegas for any performer. After all, he was the one who had championed the Las Vegas breakthrough of the Supremes in 1966. However, that engagement occurred only after 10 years of carefully honoring the trio's act to sophistication. Barry wanted his Motown performers to appeal to adults, especially to white adults, but he was certain that the Jacksons would fail miserably because of their lack of experience with the kind of material necessary to please a middle of the road, particularly white audience. Fine, the let them do go into Las Vegas if they want, Barry reasoned to one of his aides. I'm afraid that they'll fail there. Yeah, but maybe it'll teach Joseph a lesson. Too bad the boys had to suffer on his account, especially Jermaine. Joseph is anxious to teach Barry a lesson of his own. I've been doing this for nearly 10 minutes. After this argument, the entire family rallied together to prove Barry mistaken. Jimmy recalled, "My father was out to prove them wrong, and the brothers were behind him 100%. I was torn. I had a suspicion that Barry was right. To make his family so unique for Las Vegas, Joseph followed an example set by the Osmonds. The group have brought in younger brother Jimmy and sister Marie for their Caesar's engagement and had a great acclaim. Not to be outdone, Joseph recruited Latoya, 17, as well as Randy, 12, and Janet, 7. Rebby was also expected to perform. However, when she sprained her ankle, her debut in the act was postponed a few months until June. None of the new additions to the Jackson 5 show was ever willingly talented at that age, but their original ability did help gloss up the overall show. It was Catherine's idea to have Randy and Janet do impressions of Sonny and Cher, rhythm and blues stars Mickey and Saliva, and even Janet McDonald and Nelson Eddy. Janet also did cute Mae West in a black backless pink satin gown and feather bow, which Variety will call hilarious. Latoya joined the tap dancing routine to 42nd Street. There was a bit of a problem with Latoya though. She wanted to sing a solo in the act but had limited voice talent. She wanted the spotlight, remembered one of her friends. She would rant and rave, cry, and throw fits. Joseph told her that all she wanted to be allowed, acting as if she were singing but not really singing at all. She didn't like that, but she had no choice. On stage, the MGM Grand Orchestra loomed large behind the Jackson family on open night, April 7th, 1974. It was the kind of oversized orchestra that could never fit on most stages. A small group of musicians, Motown's rhythm section, was added to the mix to help recreate the sound of familiar Jackson 5 hit records. Bright and colorful firework patterns burst across a pale blue backdrop as the Jacksons appear on stage, much to the excitement of their audience. Although the Jackson 5 have, for the most part, built a reputation in rhythmic music for their Las Vegas show, they showcase a variety of song styles as typified by a centerpiece melody which they introduced on opening night. The presentation was different for them. Instead of dancing, the brothers sat on tall stools side by side with mics in front of them. Their outfits could best be described as mariachi band mod. The waist length jackets worn over ruffled white open neck t shirts were reminiscent of those that draped strolling Mexican musicians, but the resemblance ended there. These costumes had secret skull labels that were the untraditional colors: olive green, pumpkin, pink, purple, and gold. The bell-bottom trousers were light olive green, pale orange, maroon, lavender, and brown. White patent shoes had clunky 2-inch heels. The melody began with Tito strumming on guitar. He played a solo instead of singing it, followed by Marco with a fluid rendition of Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly. On the last line, Michael turned to Jermaine, who sang a gentle version of Glenn Campbell's By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Midway through that number, Michael and Jermaine harmonized the chorus. It seemed so effortless. Their voices blend together to create a sound so natural, so right. They turned to Jackie. The music then segued into the classic Danny Boy, an excellent choice for Jackie's falsetto voice. I've been doing this for 15 minutes. As Marlon joined in, the two sang as one, although there was none of the vocal interplay shared by Michael and Jermaine a moment later. Still, the two voices sounded like one, create a full body clear as a bell tone. The set ended with the three song selections being interwoven. A line there, a line there, each one joining the other. It was obvious the brothers had devoted themselves to perfecting such an incorrect. Beautiful arrangement, one that did not just feature Michael, the audience could feel the closest between them as brothers, much more than just fellow performers. The scene ovation was loud and long. When Michael had his turn in the spotlight, though, it was clear that he was the star, spinning like a human top on his sparkling suit and flanked his siblings. Michael turned effortlessly through each number. I want you back, ABC, The Love You Save, and all the rest. Changing pace again and again, but always maintaining the mesmerizing grip on his irons, so essential for a performer. When we started out, I used to be little, cute, and charming, Michael said in the act. Now I'm big, cute, and charming. After each song, he would walk to the footlights and accept the plaudits of his fans. For the Las Vegas debut, the Jackson family had pulled out all the tops, coming together as a family for a stellar performance. As all of them joined hands and raised their arms triumphantly, the audience erupted into a standing ovation. Catherine was front and center, leading the applause. In the wings, stage right, Joseph rocked back and forth on his heels, hands jammed in his tux pucks. A grin spread across his face. With the exception of the absent Rebbe, this might was the realization of his greatest dream. All of his children on stage performing together. They did it, he said to no one in particular. They did it. When Barry learned that the Jacksons had enjoyed a successful opening night in Las Vegas, he set on a condition of Motown executives to the city in order to present an image of corporate solidarity behind the family. We were always certain that the boys had what it took. He then noted in a prepared statement sent to the press. This was just the tip of the iceberg where the Jacksons' talent is concerned. Backstage, after the fourth night's performance, Joseph read the press release article to his family. The family felt betrayed, except for Jermaine, who had no comment to make about it. The triumph in Las Vegas was Joseph's to claim, not Barry's. After he finished reading the article, Joseph crumbled the newspaper in his hands and flung it into the trash can. In August 1974, the Jackson family was again booked into the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. But behind the scenes, though, there were no less tense. Album releases were becoming less frequent, whereas they used to have at least three a year. In 1974, there was only one, the Dancing Machine album. The two singles that were released at the end of the year, Wherever You Got I Want and I Am Love, were not successful. Motown then canceled the release of a Michael Jackson single called Dogging Around. A string of unsuccessful records usually put a disgruntled artist in his place when he was giving up against a major label like Motown, and the Jackson family was having quite a losing streak on the charts, as if all of the business problems were not enough of a distraction for the young performers. Their mother discovered that Joseph had been having an affair with a Jackson 5 fan from Kansas. She was a 26-year-old black woman who had at first been attracted to Jackie. I've been doing this for 20 minutes. When he expressed no interest, she turned to his father. It was rumored that the woman was pregnant. The issue was not discussed openly. The boys whispered about it amongly themselves. The question was obvious. Was Joseph the father of her child? The thought that Joseph was having a child with another woman was so upsetting to Michael he could barely perform. It was, as far as he was concerned, the ultimate betrayal from his mother of his mother. After one of the shows in Las Vegas, Joseph called a group meeting to discuss glitches he saw in the boys' performance. So far as he was concerned, the show had to go on despite any personnel problems the family might be experiencing. However, Michael decided to boycott the meeting. However, Joseph called with Michael as he was wandering through the casino of the MGM Grand. He tapped Michael on the shoulder. Michael glanced back, who saw it was, and continued walking. Joseph roared, "What the hell?" He shouldered aside patrons in an effort to reach his son. "I remember like it was yesterday," recalled Stephen Huck, a Jackson 5 fan who had gone to Las Vegas to see the show. Michael was dodging his father all over the casino, hopping around like a jackrabbit, trying to outrun Joseph. "You listen to me," Joseph demanded when he grabbed Michael by the arm. I had no idea what was happening, what the problem was, but I couldn't help but watch. Huck recalled that Joseph spoke softly, rapidly into Michael's ear. Michael listened, his face blank. Then, in mid-sentence, it seemed he shook himself free and Joseph pushed him away. "Don't you ever touch me again, do you hear me?" Michael's voice could be heard above the din of the slot machines. People in the vacancy turned to stare and upon recognizing him, began to whisper among themselves. No one came forward. "I never dreamed that Michael Jackson would raise his voice to his father or to anyone else," Huck said. I was shocked. He sounded hurt. When he shouted, it was an odd sound, like a wounded animal. Joseph seemed shaken. Father and son glared at each other for a moment before Joseph raised his hand as if he were about to strike. It would have been the first time, but the expression of Michael's face indicated that it would have been the last. Joseph's jaw sagged. He backed up 2 steps. Michael then ran off into the bustling casino. It'll be years before he will learn the truth about his father's affair and about his half sister, Joseph's secret daughter.